The party that gets the vote is the party that gets the smoke. Remember that. Reparation, and so do their families. Native Americans get reparations. Holocaust survivors get reparations.
Right is right and wrong is wrong. If you're not supposed to be in our country illegally, then you got to go, okay?
We are always overrepresented in the worst statistics. 15-20% of the population and more than 50% of homeless families. This ain't nothing we've done wrong. This is about the wrong that come with policy specifically for Black Americans. That is not a race-based policy. That's lineage-based. And America can definitely do that. We have to stop.
And so do their families. Native Americans get reparations. Holocaust survivors get reparations. Japanese Americans got reparations from this here land. But who built this here land? Hey everyone, welcome to 50 Shades of Greg with Greg Marcel Dixon. I'm your host, Marcel, and I'm glad that you can join me this evening. So to give you some context about what we're going to discuss tonight, first of all, I want y'all to bear with me because you know I'm still very new to broadcasting, live streaming. You know, it's something I was persuaded to do and something I actually enjoy, but I'm still having to get used to navigating this. This is my first time using StreamYard as the interviewer, as the host. So please bear with me. But tonight we're going to talk about, as I stated in the flyer, about the lie that just won't die. And that is the accusation that straight Black men are by and large homophobic or are the most homophobic. I'm going to share my screen and show you what has led to me wanting to pretty much cover this particular topic. So you have a group of men apparently in North Carolina. One of the gentlemen posted a picnic. He says the Prosecco Poppy's picnic was a success. We'll invite y'all to the next one. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. This tweet, this pretty innocuous tweet, has got to now over 9.1 million views. It's gone viral, and not for completely very good reasons. There has indeed been some very homophobic remarks. There's been some remarks that I find quite disgusting. And yes, on Twitter, some of the avatars, by and large, are Black men, but Black women also. Now, because of this, you have this resurgence of the homophobic straight Black man and how Black men are not good stewards when it comes to unifying and sympathizing with other groups. And now there has been a flood of people sharing experiences of how they have been brutalized by straight Black men because they are same gender loving. We're going to get into that a little later. But I am honored to have one of the gentlemen from that picture. He was actually the person who posted the picture. Join me tonight. I'm going to bring him on screen. I'm happy to be joined here by Jared. He's based in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was the gentleman that posted that screen. So Jared, welcome to 50 Shades of Greg.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming. So Jared, first of all, tell me, this picnic, is this something that you do on a regular basis? Because I really did get that vibe when you posted the picture.
No, it's not. It's actually something that has only happened one other time before what was displayed in our photograph. And after the first time, it was a date, a more intimate setting, obviously. And after the first time, I was like, wow, this is a really nice experience. And this is something that I want to do again, something that I want to share with like a close group of friends. And so ever since I did it the first time last year, I'm like, I got to have this again. I got to do it again. I got to do it again. So the picture was just a culmination of a desire to experience, just good vibes all over again with some people that I hold near and dear to my heart.
What led to you wanting to do this picnic?
Well, again, like I said, the first time I did it, I'm like, wow, this is just a great experience. I love nature. I love being outside in the sun, just taking it easy, chilling. And so just based on the overall feeling, the vibe that I got the first time, I'm like, this is something that needs to be shared with other people. And so ever since last year when I did it the first time, I'm like, okay, I got to get a group of my friends together so we can, just go to the park, chill out, vibe, have a good time, and do what we do.
How has it been since your tweet has gone viral?
It honestly has been wild. Just following all of the replies and comments. Because honestly, you know, the picnic itself was not anything out of the norm, and me posting a picture of the picnic wasn't anything out of the norm. It's just about any and everything I'm like, hey guys, let's take a picture, let's snap a photo real quick. So you know like I said, there's nothing out of the normal. We just took a picture. I posted it on just about all of my social media platforms, with the intent that I just want to share it with the people that I normally share with on a daily basis, having no idea that it would go viral or have so much traction, if you will, because it could have gone viral or happened anywhere, but it happened on Twitter, and it has just been a roller coaster ride because it was very unexpected. So to see something like that take off when you didn't have that intent behind it is very, you know, rattling, if you will.
Well, so it only went viral on Twitter, pretty much. It's only gotten this response on Twitter.
Right.
So let me explain to you. Twitter is where pretty much all nice things go to die. As you probably are now learning, it's like 98% cesspool and 2% good. Let me ask you, why do you think it has gone viral?
I think
it's just a picnic. It's just a group of men eating in the park. Why do you think it has gone so viral?
I think it went viral because there are many different perspectives that you can kind of look at it with. And when you have that many eyes on it, it's just like opinions. Everybody has one. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Just the overall progression of it seemed to kind of be in like a gay Twitter space. Towards the inception when I first posted it, the first day or so, first 24 to 36 hours, and then it kind of transitioned into like Black Twitter as a whole. And I think it just became a conversation piece. Like I said, whether that was good or bad, there were just a lot of different ways that you could look at it, that you could interpret it, that you could take it, and people just took it and ran with it.
What has some of the feedback been?
Well, like I said, it's been positive and it's been negative. Literally a bit of everything. For the most part, it started off pretty positive. And I was in a place where it was just like, wow, like I said, I never expected this to gain so much traction. And it's nice to see that people are identifying this, especially in the positive way. Like, a lot of the stuff that really resonated with me at first was, oh, this is really nice. This seems like such a vibe. Wow, this seems like something I want to do with my friends. I never thought of this. Can you come to my city and do it? When is the next one? Can I get an invite? That kind of stuff was a lot of the positivity that I was seeing at first. And so I'm like, wow. I'm glad that I did share it because they seem to be picking up on the intention and the vibe that was original. And then after that, when I started to get some of the negative stuff, it was seems like from more of like the straight community. It's just like, okay, I don't know if like I could do this with my bros, like. Honestly, the funniest thing to me was the emphasis that was put on my toes, because obviously I had my shoes off, and several of my friends had their shoes off as well, but because of how the picture was framed, I am the only one that can actually be seen with my shoes off. So I surprisingly got a lot of toe comments like, nah, I can't be outside with my toes out or with the bros. You're not going to catch me with my toes out and my shirt open. Mind you, it was about a 90-degree day. So in that situation, we were in the shade, but it's like, you're going to do what you got to do to be comfortable, you know? It wasn't much of a breeze, so we were thankful for the shade, but the shoes off, shirt open definitely kind of helped aid in comfortability. But yeah, after the second or third day, that's when I started to get some of the negative comments. And like I said, I recognize that with anything that you do in life, people are going to have a perspective. People are going to have an opinion. So, you know, you just kind of have to take things with a grain of salt and keep it moving. But all in all, the comments that I did get, be them positive or negative, they were very, very eye-opening to just the perspective of Black Twitter or our community, if you will.
So how has the negative comments made you feel? Have they made you feel any sort of way?
You know, I tried to let them kind of roll off my back for the most part. Some of them did kind of have me sad and a little heavy at times. But I had to realize that a lot of the bad comments, some of them, some more than others, it's like immediately I recognize, like, okay, I know I can't take this to heart. This person doesn't know me personally. I don't know them. But I know a lot of times when people lash out in negativity, it's never truly personal. Because like I said, they don't know me. I don't know them. A lot of times it stems from another place, from a place that needs mending or a place that hasn't been addressed, maybe trauma from their past. And so, you know, I just try to keep that in mind and not lash out myself, because in spaces like Twitter, it's very easy to become a troll, especially when people are trolling you. So I definitely had a wide range of emotion, and, you know, had to take some time to step back and, you know, just kind of let it be. But like I said, it's been a roller coaster ride. So I'm just along for the ride.
Well, definitely protect your mental health and step away from Twitter or any other social media platform if it's having a negative impact. What has been the response of your friends that joined you for the picnic? Because I'm sure they are aware, and I'm sure they have chimed in. I'm sure some have probably even made comments on Twitter. What has that been? How has that been?
Similar for the most part. I mean, I was the one who posted it, so I think I got the most of it, like, because I get all the notifications, if you will. But like I said, it's been a wide range of emotion for all of us, because I think it's 8 of us in the picture, and when I tell you, people took their time to literally single out each one of us for one thing or another. So again, a wide range of emotions. It's been very amusing. It's been very disheartening. It's been very encouraging. It's been fun. And they all have expressed that. All in all, it's definitely, like I said at the beginning, been somewhat of a surprise, because none of us never would have imagined that, you know, just us doing us would have caused such a response. My best friend in particular, you know, he tweeted something in response, just saying, like, wow, we were just in the park and we took a pic. That's it.
Right. And, you know, it's funny how people, first of all, the reason why people are commenting on your toes is because you have nice feet, and that's what people have been saying. And a lot of people don't take care of their feet. Another thing that I want to highlight is that you never said, and there's no indication in the photo that this was some gay or LGBTQ event. There's no indication that one way or the other. People just sort of assume that. Now, I will say there has been some, I guess people will say, LGBTQ events where people have They've kind of gone viral. I'm sure you've probably seen them on social media where people have twerked in front of children and they've had drag queens in front of children. You know, that garners all kinds of backlash. Y'all were just literally taking a picture in a park and you're barefooted, and that garnered backlash. So I guess some people are saying, let's assume that this was a meetup between friends who may be same gender loving, bisexual, whatnot. Some people have said that this is showing that the issue is not necessarily inappropriate behavior in front of children, that some people just have an issue with same gender, bisexual people existing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of the perspective that we encountered as well. Interestingly enough, it is like you said, but also just kind of apparent from certain tweets that some people assumed or thought that, you know, we were straight guys. And if that was the case, it's like, why are these guys doing that? And so at the end of the day, it kind of is like, okay, should it be, or why is it a matter of sexual orientation, if anything? Because it seems like the community as a whole has a problem with it either way. If we were straight men, if we were gay men, there were perspectives that expressed, you know, discontent with the event as a whole, regardless of, you know, if we were gay or straight. So it's just kind of alarming because it makes you aware of the mindset that people have taken on, and it raises the question, okay, well, why do we see this as a problem in our community, or why do we see this as something that men cannot do? You know, be it gay or straight men.
You made something you just said about what men cannot do. I want to share two things on Twitter with you, then I want to get your feedback. First of all, a lot of my topic for my show tonight is about the lie that will not die, about how straight black men are homophobic or more homophobic than the general population. That's always put out there. And, you know, you and I spoke before the show to try to get you on, and I was saying how during Birth of a Nation, that's kind of where this goes back to. Of course, during the days of chattel slavery, but black men have always been made the boogeyman of the United States of America and sometimes the world. And yet, if you look at this tweet here, I'm going to read what it says. This particular poster says, I hope y'all see the homophobic comments from black women. Because, yes, a lot of people I've seen have been making note of homophobic comments from black men. And yet there are black women who have been making homophobic comments, and some black women and black men have been calling that out as well. And on the matter, you just said something about what men can and cannot do. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter. I'm not sure how often you are on Twitter, but there's a tweet here where black men, and these are, I'm sure, LGBTQ, same gender loving black men have contributed as well. But there's a list that people have been compiling of all the things that black men are not allowed to do. Masculine black men, from eating bananas, doing yogurt, riding a bicycle, saying the F, listening to G Herbal. Okay, that's weird. Driving an Acura, giving men's rides to work, laughing, going to see a movie with another guy. It's like the list is getting longer and longer and longer. The last time I checked, it was over 500 things. And yet, the thing that I want to highlight is I'm willing to bet that some of the black men who are making derogatory comments about your picnic with your friends are probably some of the same ones who would then turn around and say, man, we can't live, or man, everything we do, we call sassy. Do you not see the hypocrisy in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you shared that, because that list was alluded to many times in comments and remarks that were expressed, and I never saw the complete list, if you will. But like I said, it was referenced many times, and a couple times people said, yeah, add that to the list, add that to the list. And so I was curious to know.
Oh, it's already
what your
on there,
list.
by the way.
Yeah.
Having a picnic with other
Okay.
men is already on there, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I didn't want to take time to find it, but I saw it on there. I should have screenshot it, but yeah, it's on there already though. So
Yeah,
y'all did one of those things. So, but yeah, continue.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They referenced the list several times, so it's interesting to finally see it.
And on the note, what are your thoughts? Do you feel? And let me preface what I'm going to say. I'm never going to deny anyone's experience. Okay, there are many Black males who are gay or appears to be gay, for what the general population would consider acting gay, who have had hurtful, awful experiences. And what I've always said is that, because I don't want to bring my own experience to it, but I've gone through a lot of that's been the story of my life. And I definitely have hurtful experiences that have scarred me to this day. Mm-hmm. And yet, I will always say, most violent crime in America is intraracial. Like, most white people are killed and assaulted by other white people. Most Asian people are killed and assaulted by other Asian people. So obviously with the Black community, if we are going to have a hurtful experience, it's usually going to be from other Black people. And when I was doing a review of my life, I definitely had hurtful, ignorant, awful things said and done to me that, again, they still hurt me to this day. I think I'm still scarred from it, even though I'm older now. However, when I look back in my family, in school, the majority of Black males that I dealt with were kind to me or treated me like they treat everyone else. Some who were just jerks to everyone, and some who treated me no different. But there were definitely those who stood out who were awful. But let me get your thoughts. What do you feel that straight Black men are more homophobic than the general population? And then the second one that I kind of alluded to already earlier, what is your thought on the fact that there are indeed Black women who are making comments that are just as disgusting and despicable as some of the Black men were making? You could take that whichever order you like.
Can you say it one more time?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I'm going to do it in reverse order. What are your thoughts, or what are your feelings on the fact that, yes, there were homophobic remarks coming from Black men, but there were Black women as well who are making some pretty disgusting, derogatory remarks? And two, what are your thoughts on my topic for today about the lie that will not die, about straight Black men being more homophobic than the general population?
All in all, it is very disheartening, because regardless of whatever the issue is, be it homophobia, be it colorism, sexism, whatever, division of any kind within our community is not good. We're always talking about how we need to band together, how we need to be more unified. And so, like I said, it's just very disheartening, because it's just yet another form of division that can be, worked through, that can be avoided. But I think at the end of the day, it just all boils down to a mindset. And however that mindset has come about, be it, how you were raised, experiences that you've had, trauma that you've gone through. I think it all boils down to a mindset. And so I kind of, what I gathered and what I got from all of this, like coming out of it, is that, like, we have to, it's a matter of exposure and changing people's minds, and getting them to understand that, like, there's so much more to life. It's a mindset that is very closed. And so we just have to work on beginning to open the minds of our community. Like, hey, you and your homies can go do this at the park. Like, it's okay. You and your girlfriends can go and do this. It's okay. There's more to life. There's so much that we miss out on because we're being closed-minded, because someone has told us, like, that's not okay, or the way that looks is not okay. So we have to begin to dissect those things. Like, why is that the case? Why is that not okay? Who is that hurting? What is that causing? Like, where is this coming from? So I think, like I said, I think that's the biggest takeaway that that I have is it really boils down to a mindset, and where does that mindset come from? How do we change that? How do we mend that?
When is the next picnic? Because a lot of people have been asking.
I am doing my best to actually have the next this weekend on Sunday. Trying to put the finishing touches on it now, because it's, like I said, this week has just been a lot, just taking it all in. But like I said, all in all, I did get a lot of really great feedback and positive responses, and people wanting to be a part and wanting to experience the good vibes that they did see just from a picture. And if that's what people want, like, who am I to withhold that when I know I have it to give? So yeah, we're gonna try to have another one this Sunday, and hopefully more and other events like it, where we can just spread love, spread good vibes, spread freedom, spread, community, have a chance to build community. That's what I'm really looking to do. So
I
I'm
think
excited.
we'll have a much larger turnout, because I've seen people asking, can they come? And I know several people from South Carolina. Let me say this as well. One of the reasons why people tend to sort of stick with people within their social economic group or racial group or sexual orientation is because there is a safety when you're with people who have shared experiences. That's not necessarily schooling others, but when people, let's assume that all of you were same gender loving. And by the way, notice I never asked that because it really doesn't matter. But let's assume that all of y'all were. There's a reason why people sometimes tend to stick within people who have similar shared experiences, because the response from the outside will sometimes be very unfriendly. So, Jared, I know you are a singer and an artist. Is there anywhere that people can go to support your artwork?
Yes, I am. I am a singer. I do have some music out that's available for streaming, for download, for purchase. I'm on all streaming platforms. I go by simply my name, Jared. I have links to everything. I'm sorry.
Can you spell that for me? I'll put it.
It's everything on my social, all of my social media on every platform: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's Next Best Jared, actually. If you've seen the tweet, my Twitter is NEX, no T, NEX Best Jared, and it's the same on all social media platforms. On those social media platforms, I have links that will lead you to my music, which is on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, all the streaming platforms. But you can search me on any of those platforms just by my name, Jared, and you will find me.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for joining me. I am happy that you also got positive feedback, and I knew you would, because even we can't let the Dusties represent the majority of us. The Dusties are always going to be the loudest, but I don't believe they're the majority. Thank you, and I'm glad you not let this embitter you. The event looked like a fun event, and I'm glad y'all do that. And thank you so much for joining me here on 50 Shades of Greg, okay?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you taking the time out to allow me to share and, kind of tell my story. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, everyone, I wanted to have Jared on because it was his tweet that led to this conversation. Now I'm going to give my commentary, because there are things I have been seeing that I find quite despicable. Bear with me. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to show y'all, because as I mentioned when I was first introducing today's broadcast, this recent tweet that has gone viral has now led to the resurgence of the gay, straight black men being homophobic, and people calling black men bullet bags in so many words. I want to show you one tweet in particular. And this guy, notice right here. Look at what he says. All jokes from straight black men to one of y'all get caught riding dirty, resisting arrest, and the police F you up. Then crying for the entire black diaspora to march and protest. And then, of course, you see he says here, and I don't want to get done by YouTube because I know it's only a matter of time. Y'all can kiss my ass, okay? And this particular poster goes on a complete rant about how straight black men don't reciprocate the sympathy they're shown by others. First of all, where do I even begin? We don't even know about the black men making these homophobic remarks. When I was going through some of the remarks, a lot of them had foreign flags. Now, I am not going to say that the Freeman FBA community doesn't have black men who are homophobic. They also have black women who are homophobic. I'm not going to say that doesn't exist. But when I was going through the tweets, I noticed a disproportionate amount of the tweets that were making very derogatory remarks had flags from foreign nations. Some of those foreign nations where homosexuality is completely banned. So when people talk about some homophobia in the black community, or the black community is more homophobic than other communities, we have to really start delineating, okay? Because who are these black people who are making these homophobic remarks? Because just by using this thread as a sample alone, a lot of them had foreign flags and thereby do not represent the FBA freedmen community. That's one thing. And again, I'm going to say, I'm not going to deny that there is homophobia, that there are people who have that issue. There's homophobia in all communities. What I have always said is that it's amazing how freedmen FBA have been through the most, have been treated the worst, yet we're always expected to be the best. We're always expected to have the moral high ground. And you know why they expect that from us? Because we have always had the moral high ground in this nation. We were always the ones saying that this nation was not living up to its ideals when it comes to equality, when it comes to equity, when it comes to fairness, when it comes to acceptance. We have always been the group at the forefront. And when I say we, I am talking about black Americans who are descendants of American slaves and emancipated people, freemen / FBA. We have always been the group that has been at the tip of despair when it comes to this nation's progress. It's almost a double-edged sword. Because we are the group that is always advancing justice and righteousness, people always expect us to be the most just and the most righteous. Okay? Even though we get treated with the least amount of justice and with the least amount of righteousness, as we just seen in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we have 3 of our elders who survived a literal race massacre, and yet they were denied their right to sue the city of Tulsa, which I'll talk about that on another broadcast. However, I'm not going to sit here and talk based off emotion tonight. I am going to destroy this lie that straight black men are homophobic or the most homophobic using data. Because I have noticed that when this topic comes up, no one ever really examines the data. And let me tell you why. Because if they examine the data, you will see, we would all see that it's a damn lie that straight black men are by and large homophobic, or even are the most homophobic. But first of all, let's discuss why that lie exists. First of all, as I said with Jared, it's not new here in America to make black men the boogeyman of the country, okay? Remember the movie Birth of a Nation. Was one of the most successful movies of all time, where they showed the Ku Klux Klan as being the saviors, the heroes, and the protectors of the nation from black men. Keep in mind, at this particular time, black men were going through lynch mobs, mass rape. Chattel slavery had ended just some decades ago. A lot of the black men alive at the time were literally the children of people who were enslaved. Redlining, all types of atrocities were being inflicted on black women, but especially on black men. And yet in that movie, they made black men the villains. They made black men the boogeyman. So this is something that is very American. Whenever there's an issue in American society, slap a black man's face on it, and there you go. Black men are the scapegoat. So that's one. Number 2, this is something I found out with data. One of the reasons why people like to push us, black men are so homophobic, or the black community by and large is more homophobic than the general community, is because survey after survey shows that black Americans are the least likely to support gay marriage. Okay? And that's a fact. Now, that's starting to change. But black Americans, when you break it down on a racial level, okay, they don't do ethnicity. Because again, a lot of these black people are not Freeman FBA. But that is the truth. But here's the thing they don't talk about. First of all, most black people do support gay marriage. I mean, they may not necessarily feel that's their thing, but they're not against gay people marrying. But let's even say that all black people were against it. We aren't the reasons, though, why gay people were not able to marry, okay? It's funny how they want to gauge or call black men homophobic because of the varying levels of support for gay marriage, and yet those same people will ignore the fact that it was white men who introduced the laws that forbade gay marriage, okay? It was white men who introduced the laws right now that a lot of people in the LGBTQ community, because I don't really believe it's a community, that's a whole other conversation, that they say deprive them of their rights. But you notice how they will not ever say that white men are the most homophobic, even though it was white men in positions of power who introduced these laws. And as far as the reasons why, black Americans tend to be the most religious group, even if they don't attend church regularly. And there's been a high correlation of how religious a black person sees themselves and their support of gay marriage. Yet, they ignore the fact that there's a church, I can't remember the church's name, and I don't want to get the church's name wrong, but it's the church that always shows up at the funeral of same gender-loving people, and they'll say something, I don't want to get dinged, but they'll say that God hates the F word. You don't ever see black people out there doing that, ever, never. People talk about Matthew Bird, that is still one of the most notorious acts, they claim, of hate crimes against the same gender-loving person. Now, I don't know the whole story, but I know that happened when I was a kid. That was done by white men. But you will not have people saying that white men are by and large homophobic. They won't do that. But they will say that about black men. I'm about to shut this down right now with data. So I want y'all to stay tuned. First of all, the safest place to be in America is in the black community. You have this thing where they're saying that black trans people are being murdered at far higher rates than their proportion in the general population. You have a lot of people who were shared the empirical experiences of how awful they were treated in the black community. But here's the thing. We cannot make our individual experience hard data. You can't say that because you were treated awful and that is your personal experience in whichever community, majority black community, or by whichever black people were around you when you were growing up or in your day-to-day, you cannot make that the reflection of the entire community. Here's what the data shows. I'm about to share my screen. Please check this out. I did my own research and I want to share this with you. Here's what the data shows about whether the black community or black men are homophobic, okay? Or most homophobic or more homophobic than the general population. So this is a study that was done, a wide-ranging study, and it was done by the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And they pretty much found out that if you are same gender loving, bisexual, trans, you're more likely to experience an assault than the general population. And of course, I don't condone violence against anyone because of how they choose to identify. I believe in treating all people with respect and feel that all people should be treated with dignity. They broke it down by race. Look at this next slide here. They said across all racial ethnic categories, lesbian, gay, bisexual people are more likely than straight people to experience violence. And then they pretty much gave the breakdown of the different sexual orientation categories, how many out of a certain amount of people would experience a violent crime. Now notice here, they have white, they have black, They have Hispanic or Latino, which can be of any race, and then they have other race. Notice, if you're straight, you are the least likely to experience violence, okay? Now let's look at lesbian and gay. 49 for white, 29 for Hispanic or Latino, 49 for other race, 27 for black people, the lowest of all groups. Bisexual, look how high this is for whites, 131. Hispanic or Latino, 108. Other race, which I'm not sure what up to which other race refers. I read the full methodology of the report. They said it could be Asian, it could be mixed, it could be people who chose various ethnicities. 193, black 96. So according to the data, not emotion, not a person's personal experience, the safest place to be LGBTQ, according to the data from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, is in the black community. Okay? Going back to what I said earlier, I'm going to share this tab here. This is one of the reasons why people like to say, oh, the black community is so homophobic, because black Americans are still kind of lukewarm, as this article says here, to gay marriage. But look, most say businesses must provide wedding services to gay couples. Think about it. There has been several cases that has gone before the Supreme Court where some businesses have denied services to people who are same gender loving, okay? Not one of them have been black. They all have been done, as far as my knowledge goes, white people. Now, I'm not saying all white people are homophobic. I'm not even saying the white people who went to the Supreme Court because they felt they should not have to provide services to which they do not, about events to which they could not consent or approve. I'm not even saying they're homophobic. I don't know all the details of the particular cases, and I don't want to speak on it. However, please notice here how this says that even though black Americans still have some of the lowest levels of support for gay marriage, it also stated that black Americans, more than any other group, were more likely to acknowledge that gays and lesbians face a lot of discrimination in the U.S., which is higher than white people who say the same. But also, here's the thing, black people more than any other group. Read this here. Blacks stand out as especially likely to say that such businesses, referring to caterers, those who make wedding cakes, should be required to provide the same services to gay and lesbian couples as they would to all other customers. 61% compared to just 45% of white Americans who said the same thing. So based off of the data, the safest place to be, same gender loving, is in the black community. That's data. So the next time somebody wants to come and say that, oh, straight black men are the most homophobic, let them know the data does not support that. The truth of the matter is, in any community, most of the violent crime is going to be committed by men. Men commit 90 to 94% of all violent crime. So it's safe to assume that the violent crime that anyone experiences in a majority black community will probably be done at the hand of a black man. There's dusties everywhere. And yet, a bisexual, gay, transgender people had the lowest level of experiences of being exposed or being assaulted or being attacked in the black community, okay? But there's more here. There's definitely more here. What people like to leave out is the historical context about reasons why black Americans may generally, as far as gay marriage goes, might generally sometimes have issues with it. It's not necessarily homophobia. Only black Americans, Freeman FBA, experience violent, centuries-long, systemic sexual assault at the hands of enslavers, and then during the Jim Crow era. We often think about that being done to black women, and it was definitely done to black women, but it was done to black men all the same. Y'all already know about Tariq Nasheed's film, Butt Breaking. It was a despicable practice that was done to emasculate black men. When any other group, remember The Color Purple, and James Baldwin was giving remarks about The Color Purple, and he was saying that he didn't like the movie. He said because the black man was just made to be this brute, made to be this villain. And he said, okay, if you're going to make the black man this brute, this villain, at least explain why. Explain why he is that way. Explain why, what happened to him to make him that way. But you see, when black men are presented as a villain or a brute or a monster, people just kind of take that at face value. When a white man, just by contrast, commits a violent crime, people want to tell you, oh, his puppy died when he was 3 years old, and that's why at 34, he shot up a whole damn school. Okay? You're always given some sob story or some context about why they did what they did. Yet with black Americans who have been through centuries-long systemic sexual violence, and that's an understatement, call it sexual violence. It needs to be called sexual terror, where black men were raped, penis chopped off, and kept in jars, all type of despicable, disgusting, barbaric behavior. When they actually do express some reticence with gay marriage, no one considers that cultural context. And yet, notice how, and I'm going to share all this. In fact, let me share this screen again, because we need to always bring this up. And even with that history being as it may, the safest place, according to data, I'm bringing it up again, for an LGBT person, because I noticed they took out the Q, still in the black community. Look at this data right here. This is taken from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Okay? The Bureau of Justice Statistics. Look at the rate of violence that a black person who is LGBT is likely to experience compared to a white one, Hispanic, or Latino, or other race. Lower. And the crazy thing is, the black community, violent crime in America usually correlates with generational poverty. So if there's any community that has, that you would justifiably probably expect to have a higher level of crime because of the generational poverty, it would be the black community. And yet, as this shows, the safest place where you could be same gender loving, bisexual, is in the black community. Okay? Now, why is it that black men, straight black men, are always being said to be the most homophobic? Let's talk about hate crimes that are committed against LGBT people, okay? Who commits the majority of these hate crimes? You notice how they never present any data? When they show a black trans person has been killed, people just assume that it was a black person who did it. They don't even show who did it. No one even questions who did it. They just see a black trans person has unfortunately been murdered, and they just assume a straight black man did it. I can tell you, experience, when a same gender loving person, a bisexual person, a trans person experience violence, it is usually at the hand of another same gender loving person, bisexual person, or trans person. Trust me. Intimate partner violence is higher among same gender loving people than it is among the heterosexual community. So a lot of times, unfortunately, when a same gender loving person, bisexual person, trans person is experiencing violence, you can believe it's usually at the hands of a person who's of their sexual orientation of identity. But I said I wasn't going to get into empirical experiences or go off emotion. I want to talk about the data. Well, check this one out, and I want y'all to remember this as well. Who commits the majority of violence against LGBT people? Let Twitter tell you, let social media tell you, let Lee Daniels tell you it's black men. Let Billy Porter tell you it's black men. check this out. Okay? Because you see, I operate off of facts, logic, and data. Check this out here. This was a study done, okay, by, believe the Department of Justice, page 47. I'm going to get back to it. Let me go to the top to see who anchored this study here. I have been up for a few hours doing this research, okay? This study here was actually done by School of Law, UCLA, School of Law, Williams Institute. Who commits most of the violence against LGBTQ people? Well, let's find out. Let's see what the data shows. Let's see what the data shows. Okay. Let's see what the data shows. And it's not going to be a surprise to us. Let's read. Publicly available hate crime data does not classify anti-LGBT hate crime victims by race. However, research suggests that on both a state level, because the school, UCLA is in California, and a national level, the most frequent perpetrators of anti-LGBT hate crimes are white men. It's quiet. I don't hear those straight black men are the most homophobic people now. Again, this is based off of data from the UCLA study, the Williams School of Law. Based on the data from California and the data from the federal level, the most common perpetrators of anti-LGBT hate crimes are white men. You won't hear Billy Porter say that. You won't hear Lee Daniels say that. You won't hear these old black liberals who love to pile on black men because it gets them brownie points from the white liberals they worship. You won't hear none of them say that, but I'm going to say it. This is research, y'all. Please remember this broadcast. Now, I'm about to really go here. And I'm going to see if I can find this. We talk about how black men are the most homophobic, okay? Because some people will say, yeah, Marcel, you know, I could believe that it's mainly white men, blah, 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 blah. But we talking about the black community right now. We ain't talking about white people. We talking about us, the black community right now. Okay, I want to see if I can find this study here. Y'all, I'm about to shut this down too. Now, this one is big. Okay, y'all. A study in 2004. I did not buy access to this database, but it's available on the American Psychological Association. It was apparently done in 2004. All I read was their abstract. This one might get me a little bit of backlash. People will probably say, well, Marcel, we're not talking about white people, Asian people, or any other racial group. We're talking about the black community. And in the black community, straight black men are the most homophobic. That's what they was probably wanted you to believe, right? Check this out here. Y'all, this surprised me. And then when I thought about it, it did not surprise me. Y'all, check this out right here. Because this, at first, took me off guard. So, within the black community, this is not a competition. Who is the most homophobic? Believe it or not, there's very little data. They haven't even bothered to research whether there are higher levels of black men or black women who have homophobic attitudes a whole lot. They haven't even bothered to do that. But look at this study right here. Now, this is just the abstract. It says, recent work on attitudes towards homosexuals promotes the view that males typically have more negative attitudes than females. And African Americans have more negative attitudes than their white counterpart. That has been disproven many times. But y'all check this part out here. However, among African Americans, this is just one study, women are thought to have the greatest negative attitudes because they perceive themselves as competing for a limited pool of black male partners. Did y'all hear that? In this study, one of the few studies that has actually compared attitudes towards same-sex relationships between black men and black women, this study is just one study, and I acknowledge that. This study actually said that black women actually expressed a higher level of negativity towards same-sex relationships. You won't hear anyone mention that. Now, then I thought about it. Are we really surprised? Because think about it. A lot of black Americans, again, we're the most religious group in America. And when you think about church attendance, it's a fact. Church attendance is almost non-existent now among black men. Okay? You got some of these churches out here, they can't even pay black men to come. In some congregations, and a lot of them, 70% or more of the attendees are black women. So you think about the influence of religion, and especially, the Christian faith, whatever denomination, is mainly black women. So if you think about that, if black Americans are the most religious and our views are usually shaped by, Christian faiths, it kind of makes sense that there might be a higher view of negativity towards same-sex relationships or high level of disapproval among black women than black men. Now, again, this is just one study. And remember, y'all, there is no study that shows the black community being more homophobic than the white community. Actually, as I just showed, black Americans have expressed the highest level of support for civil rights for all groups. And that's our problem. That's the problem right there, actually. We go and we stomp for all these other groups to get the civil rights that have historically been denied to us. Now, I'm not going to show you this because there's no need to. We all know this is true. What black Americans have historically hated when it comes to, the pride movement, black Americans strongly resent, and rightfully so. When I say black American, I talk about freedmen, FBA, those of us who are black descendants of American slaves. We strongly resent, and there's research to back this up, this whole the pride movement, LGBTQ rights being juxtaposed or being put in the same frame as our civil rights movement. Among black women, among black men, there's a strong level of resentment towards that. And you're damn right it is. Because I don't care if you're straight, gay, that didn't matter on the plantation. All they saw was that you were black. And if you look at the photos of our ancestors on that plantation, you will see toddlers working, okay? If you look at photos of lynch mobs, you will see black men, black women, and black children being lynched. When you look at Jim Crow, redlining, sharecropping, debtors' prison, the destruction of our black Wall Streets and other prosperous black towns, the Federal Housing Authority that put highways and railroads through black neighborhoods, okay, to steal our property, land theft via the USDA discriminated against us, eminent domain, heirs property, which I'm going to do a show on that. I'm working on that as we speak. When you look at all the atrocities, almost the trillions of dollars of wealth that black Americans, FBA freemen, that we have, of which has been stolen from us. I'm not going to say we have laws, it's because we didn't lose it. It was stolen from us. When you look at the fact that other groups, whether intern Japanese Americans, receive reparations. In the case when they were dead, it went to their direct descendants. The Native Americans today, their direct descendants are getting what you could call reparations or settlements. The people who are the Iranian hostages, the people who are exposed to radiation, they're collecting a check, or their descendants are collecting a check. When you look at the centuries of wrongs that have been heaped upon black Americans, that happened to all of us. Your sexual orientation didn't matter. Okay? So when we are told that the LGBTQ rights movement is the new civil rights movement, hold the fuck up. Excuse my expression. Hold the hell up. Ain't no new civil rights movement, nothing. Ain't no new nothing. Ain't nothing new around here. The same civil rights movement that started the moment that this country instituted chattel slavery. And then afterwards, during Reconstruction, and they betrayed us, and more Black people were murdered and experienced high levels of violence after slavery ended, because during slavery, there was a reason to sort of maintain us. Even though slavery was horrifically violent, we were still considered property. We were considered an investment. But after they got their $82 trillion of wealth from us, and they realized that we were now demanding our just due in this nation, and then the Reconstruction, the compromise of 1877 happened, and they pulled the military out the South, and it was just all-out genocidal violence towards Black Americans. That civil rights movement is still happening. They have never, the mission of Reconstruction is still happening. They have never given us the equity we were supposed to get during the era of Reconstruction. So no, you're not going to talk about any other movement is the new civil rights movement when this nation has yet to do right by the original people who are the originators of the original civil rights movement. And those are freemen or FBA, okay? We do resent the LGBTQ movement being juxtaposed with our civil rights movement. And then the rights that people who consider themselves by the LGBT community, the rights that they enjoy are because of the civil rights movement and the struggle that Black Americans, for which Black Americans have bled, for which Black Americans have fought. You see, when we fight for everyone, and that's our problem. We need to become more self-interested. When you see these pride parades and these LGBTQ movements, they're not talking about reparations for Black Americans or descendants of American slaves. And we know they're well-funded because a lot of people in these LGBTQ movements are white and very wealthy and very well-funded. When was the last time you heard them hosting a pride parade and they're talking about reparations for freemen, FBA? You don't see it. You don't hear about it. They don't even call out the anti-Blackness within the LGBTQ community. They don't. You can look at a whole range of nightclubs and businesses that are owned by white gays, and they're discriminating against Black gay people. It happens all the time. They will be loud and proud about legislation to benefit people who are same-gender loving, bisexual, trans, okay? And yet, when Black Americans are fighting for our reparations, fighting to get compensation for our stolen land, fighting to get our land protected like they protect Native American land, fighting to get back our Freemen's Bureau so we can have our own schools, our own banks, our own hospitals. They don't mention nothing about that. They don't mention nothing about Black women dying, having a higher child mortality rate than women in war-torn Syria. Meaning if you are a woman in war-torn Syria, you are more likely to survive giving birth to a child than a Black woman. You don't hear at these LGBTQ events, you don't hear them mentioning none of that. Or at least they're not going mainstream with it. But Black Americans are expected to be the damn mule for everyone. Just jump on our backs, we ride you to your destination, you go inside, you slam the door in our face and leave us out in the rain. So yes, that's what Black Americans resent. And a lot of Black Americans do not condone homophobia, okay? They don't condone violence against someone because of their identity or their sexual orientation. That's a damn lie. And the data, like I showed y'all, proves that. Now, let me show y'all something. I'm sure y'all seen it. Let me see if I can find it. Now that this tweet has gone viral, now you got people out here coming up with what I feel is a lie. I could be wrong. I don't know if I got to do fair use for this. If I do, moderators, y'all put the disclaimer thing because I don't know. Now I saw this thing go around here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to find this one. This one has been going viral. Okay, here it is. Well, this is a tweet in response to it. There's this, okay, here it is right here. Now there's this guy here saying that he went into a barbershop in Detroit, By the way, I've never been to Detroit. My sister went and she loved it. She loved it, loved it, loved it. People like to take shots at Detroit, and I don't like that. You know, I may make jokes every now and then. But I live in a small southern town, the coast of South Carolina. So where I live was always the butt of jokes, if you even knew it existed, which a lot of people don't. Anyway, so you have this guy here saying that he went into a barbershop, and he said that when he first walked in, that someone made a joke at his expense about his outfit. First of all, let me say this. I am a very sensitive person. I really, really am. Okay? However, I'm going to say this with love. Sometimes we do have to toughen the hell up. Okay? I'm going to say that. If you've been to a black barbershop, everyone gets roasted on. Everyone. No one's safe in a black barbershop. Everyone's going, yeah, they're going to drone on you. They're going to roast on you. That happens to everyone. Okay? The most masculine guy, the most feminine guy, the fat guy, the most fit guy in a black barbershop, everyone's almost like going to a Def Comedy Jam session. Everyone, if that light gets shown on you, you're going to get roasted. But it's done in love. That's something we do. But if it hurt his feelings, that's unfortunate. But everyone gets a little made fun of at a black barbershop, but it's done in love. Okay, now let's keep going. He mentioned that he walked in there. There were only 2 to 3 people in the shop and 5 or 6 barbers. He said that most of them declined to cut his hair. And he said that when one barber finally did, give him a haircut, he apologized for the bigotry that his colleagues showed. Okay? Now, people are calling this out. People are calling BS on this. Now, I don't like to deny anyone's experience, but I'm going to call BS on this too, just because a lot of people are going in the reviews and saying, so you missed this part? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, right here. Like this one lady, she was like, great place, do appointments only. Now, he mentioned that he walked in, so he didn't have an appointment. And several people, even people who live in Detroit, are saying, I know that barbershop, they only go by appointments only. And then he said, well, yeah, but there's only 2 or 3 people there. Okay. And another barber got on and said, yeah, this is how it works. If you have an appointment and it's 15, 20 minutes away, a haircut, and y'all know a haircut can take sometimes, depending on what the person wants, it could take 30 minutes or longer. Okay. Usually longer. So it's like, just because you see the shop is empty, that doesn't mean they don't have an appointment. So he's making it about his sexual orientation. They discriminated against him. Now, let me say, just because I've never experienced doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But I have never heard of a barbershop turning down money. Okay, unless you are some damn child molester, mass murderer, I've never heard of that happening. And look, growing up, it was obvious that I was different from a lot of my male relatives. And I went to the barbershop and I struggled to be comfortable in my own skin because of things that happened to me that I don't want to talk about, because I don't really want to make this about me or share empirical experiences. So I can kind of understand when you walk into an environment where it seems like everyone's masculine, you're not as masculine, you feel sort of uncomfortable. I get it. That's been the story of my life. I definitely get it. I can go on about that a long time, but I'm not going to. But I can't make, and nor can anyone else make, their insecurities other people's problems, okay? We really can't. We can't make our insecurities other people's problem. Again, I know there are homophobic jerks in the community, as there are in all communities. And according to the data, the Black community is apparently where the least amount of homophobic jerks exists, okay? That's data. And if you want to go by data, again, the community where the highest level of homophobia exists, or at least we're most likely to experience a hate crime, is in the white community, according to the data. That doesn't mean all white people are homophobic. I don't even think most are. So why can't Black Americans be given that same grace? So, y'all, I'm going to end this here. I was only going to do an hour. I just want to say that the lie has to die, that straight Black men are homophobic. Black men are always made the villains. I mean, here's the thing that's funny in America. When there's a problem, Black men are the problem. When Black men have a problem, It's black men's problem. When America has a problem, like during the Civil War, and the North was getting, the Union was getting their tails kicked, it was black men that showed up and saved the day. You see, when America has a problem, it's everyone's problem. When black men have a problem, it's just black men's problem. Sometimes black men don't even get support sometimes from our own women, sometimes. But if anyone's going to stick with it, it's going to be the black woman, of course. When black men have a problem, we get told there ain't no solution. But when everybody has a problem, black men are supposed to be the solution. And if the problem hasn't been solved yet, then that's black men's fault. That has to stop. We have to stop making black men the villain and everything, okay? Especially when there is no data, absolutely none, to support the validity of those accusations. So I thank y'all for joining me this evening. You know, I am going to keep this, a lot of times I'm going to keep this podcast focused on political matters. But like I said, I will sometimes discuss social things as well. And this really is a political matter because black men being made the boogeyman is nothing new in America. And you know what happens? Let's say I go out tonight and I get robbed by a black man. You got to say, you see, I told you about those black men. That's not black men's fault. That's that black man who made that bad decision. Let's learn to respect people's individual decisions. If some jerk is homophobic to you, that's that jerk's decision. That's not a reflection of the community as a whole. No one, I bet you none of those people would dare say that white men are pedophiles. I bet you they would never say that, even though the majority of convicted pedophiles in this country are white men. But no one would dare run with this white men are all pedophiles narrative. They won't do that. But it's always easy to just launch a negative attribute towards black men because of what individuals have chosen to do. Even when the data shows by and large, it is not true. The negative thing, the negative attribute is not true. So I thank y'all for coming here. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's discussion. And I will see y'all soon. But the next time someone tries to do that, straight black men are homophobic or the most homophobic or more homophobic than the general population, please don't use emotion. Use the data, like the data I presented here this evening. Y'all take care.